saw this article on comics and manga, and I just thought I'd give a little example, one little example that I didn't spend any time looking through. I just flipped through this. I think this was the second issue I picked up for this example. COMICSGATE and Manga are doing very well, while Marvel, DC, and Image are not. If you have a market for something and then you start screwing it up, what do you expect will happen? Your audience will not stay with you forever because they're not idiots. A competitor is going to sneak up and start seizing market share. The interesting thing is it will happen to other industries as well. I sort of have this fantasy of replacing Hollywood with small budget films. I don't know if you've ever seen The Special Dead, which was filmed for about $600,000 on a summer camp. They just rented it out, filmed it in a couple months. Or in the sub-$1 million films or micro budget films like Clerks, which was filmed for I think less than $50,000 in black and white. When Clerks was made, there was not the digital infrastructure in place to fund, market, and distribute it. He had to go through Weinstein, unfortunately. Now there actually is, and if I ever got won the lottery or something, had a few extra million dropped into my lap, I would probably make smaller budget horror comedies. You can start filming with 2 cameras and a couple of boom mics, some lights, reflectors, and a mid-level computer to do digital editing. Things have come. I was doing digital editing like 20 years ago on computers, like 1.1 gigahertz computers with not very much RAM. And yes, it was slow, but you could do it. Or, if you had a bunch of computers networked, you could split up tasks. Anyway, why don't American comics sell? Because they're trying to sell this anti-white comics to an audience that mostly identifies as white, and anti-male comics to an audience that is like 95% or more male. I know there's some delusional belief out there that women read 50% of the comics. That's just a lie. And it really doesn't matter how many women read comics. What matters is how many people are buying comics. I think it's 95%. What is that, 1 out of 20? Yeah, if not more than 95% male. I have more than once seen comics where blonde or red-haired men are crying on their knees in front of a woman. I saw it recently twice. Last night was one, and every time you see that, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard. Nobody wants to see that. Keep doing that, and COMICSGATE is going to eat your lunch. Why would blonde or red-haired males want to see themselves portrayed in a negative manner? That's not rocket science. They don't. They just don't. They don't want to pay for it. Who wants to see a purse puppy pox who runs around being better than the POLs, people of the light and people of color? Why is 90% of the antagonists blonde and like 9% are red-haired, and maybe that 1% is, I don't know, ambiguously blue-haired? Out of the world's religions, you got the big 4, Jew, Muslim, Hindu, Christian. Why is Christianity the only one portrayed in a negative light? You see where I'm going with this. Every time you see black, he's going to be the protagonist. Every time you see white, he's going to be the antagonist. Even if they have to bend over backwards to do it. I've read comics where blue-eyed guys, let me say this carefully, forcefully redirect airplanes for the commission of bad acts, if you know what I mean. That is insane. But the mainstream comics and the mainstream media and the comics in general, they're so insanely far left that they think they're leveling the playing field by making every criminal blonde. Except it doesn't make sense because it's not in accord with reality. You have to careful way to phrase that. So the story doesn't have verisimilitude. Stories like that are called propaganda. Fundamentally, stories you can exaggerate for narrative effect, but if they repeatedly misinterpret the truth, misrepresent the truth in a biased manner, people are going to notice. If you could take Immortal Hulk #1, and if you want to know what I'm talking about, like the decline of comics, look at Immortal Hulk #1 and #11, and that will sum it up better than I could. I did videos on those a long time ago. swap the races around and people would lose their freaking minds. They would campaign for him, Al Ewing, to be fired and publicly deleted from this mortal coil. If you show gang activity of the wrong hue, then you may as well just retire. Zhang's Kickstarter kept Mike Miller of Lone Star fame off because he showed non-blonde criminals. Yes, this is what clown world looks like, when you must not notice the elephant in the room or you'll be canceled by a 20-year-old who's perpetually outraged by everything and usually stoned on a couch playing video games, like Twitter in one hand, and just, I imagine cheesy poofs in the other, and, anyway. So they killed comics because they wanted to. They will assign blame everywhere else but to the writers and the editors whose fault it definitely is. Mainstream stuff doesn't sell, so the 50-year-old SGWs are using Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina-smelling candle website to sell indie projects. But if they repeat the same stupid stuff in the mainstream, then their first issue is going to sell big numbers. Yeah, fair enough. You're going to get like Kwanzaa Silk Black, and it got over $100,000. Good for him. But then the second one rolls around, they realize, oh my God, this comic sucks. This sucks on toast. The second one did half of the first one. Like, okay, you're going to expect some drop on the second time because, people buy stuff for the enthusiasm and just to support you the first time. But I kind of get the feeling his crowdfunding days are over unless he radically improves his storytelling. And that's my point, is that the second will tank. So if you've got big names who are doing indie stuff of their own, whatever they have ownership interest in, yeah, you're going to get that first comic, and you better hope to God it sells really well, like $1 million well. Because if it's woke, and I don't know if it will. I don't know. See, the thing is, you don't know if it's the writers, the editors, the artists themselves who are pulling the strings, or higher-ups. And the thing is, then you go on Twitter and you read the artists and the writers, and they are as far left as the higher-ups. So, if these guys try to do their indie projects, good luck on that first one. It'll do well, and then everything after that, man, you just can't. It's like your mainstream stuff failed because of what you were writing. Don't repeat the same mistake and expect a different result. And one little thing is that one of the smart things about Cyberfrog that makes it perfect for current year is the bad guys aren't guys. They're bugs. There's no race issues involved. And I know he didn't plan it that way because he was back in the 90s when I read the first ones, actually. But it was a very lucky turn of events, which makes it perfect for cartoons and films. And he's probably going to make $1 billion on Cyberfrog. Well, not $1 billion. He could conceivably make hundreds of millions of dollars if everything goes very well for him. American SGW comics have become so Marxist that a foreign competitor was able to sneak in and steal the audience just by not being godless commie degenerates. That American audience was yours for the taking, and you guys just did everything to F them in the A repeatedly. So, hey, we're not really fans of getting F'd in the A. How about we do something else? No, we're just going to keep effing you in the A. I'm going to stop coming over if you keep doing this. And not only are you doing this, but you're charging me $4 to F me in the A. I don't want to pay $4 to be insulted. Yeah, we're just going to keep doing this, and you're going to keep coming back. And no, we're not. That's the audience goes away. The only people who enjoy getting F'd in the A by these mainstream comics people are these collectors, and I don't think they're listening to this. And I see some of they do live streams, and I enjoy listening to their live streams because I enjoy listening to people passionate about comics. So they buy these comics, they hold them up, they show them, they've got them in the bags or whatever, hermetically sealed in plastic so an atom of hydrogen can't even enter. So did you enjoy the comic? Oh, no, I didn't read it. It's just going to go up on the wall. Yeah, I've got all 50 issues of Squirrel Girl. Did you read them? I read the first few issues. So, 50 times 4 is, you didn't read them. I'm a reader. I'm not a collector. I'm a reader. And other people are into the art. And other people are into the thing itself. And there's, the people who are buying the comic right now are into the thing itself, which is why when it went digital, all these people, all the companies got in trouble because they realized, you don't want a digital comic. That's not the thing itself. It's It's the difference between making sweet love to your girlfriend versus like a Zoom call, jerking off. Like back in my days, we had to do that over the. No, back in my days, nobody did that over the phone. But what a bad analogy. Where's it going with this? Digital comics don't sell because they don't have the thing itself, except to the collectors, and that's a very shrinking market of 40-year-olds. So really, the only people who are buying your comics are the ones you just constantly insult. Mostly 40 to 50-year-old white dudes who you just think are literally Hitler, and they're the people who every month are shelling out hundreds of dollars for your dog shit comics, so they can have the thing. It's like, oh great, you have the thing. What are you going to do with it? You going to resell it and make a nice return on that investment? No, I couldn't possibly sell it. So you've just got a box of shit. Yeah, pretty much. Like I like collectors will one day wake up and they'll look at this stuff and go, oh my god, I got to get rid of this stuff. And congratulations, you woke up. You're 49 years old and you woke up and you sold your stupid Squirrel Girl comics. Unless you're keeping it ironically to see how bad it is. Anyway, okay, American comics. The audience, the American audience, should have been yours, but you just looked them in the eye and said, "No, we're going to throw you away." Before I got on that bad analogy of sex for some reason. Okay, the point is, Japanese stories are written with less propaganda. There's propaganda in every story, obviously. In general, the Japanese are portrayed as the good guys and the foreigners are as the bad guys, which is what you'd naturally expect to see. It's just America's been turned upside down for the past 50 years with cultural Marxism. American comics, the good guys have brown skin, usually, but the bad guys are all out of German central casting. They focus all their hatred on Nordic Aryan types. It is so effing ridiculous. Dear Marvel, how come the bad guys are never black, Latino, or Asian? You're never going to get an answer, and it doesn't matter. The mainstream is over. It is beyond over. Even if they tried to actually turn it around, the audience won't trust them. Again, because they got tired of getting effed in the A, and they've discovered a better alternative. American comics are fat and ugly. They are created by fat and ugly people who hate themselves, and they hate the audience even more. I read a few manga. They are not fat and ugly. The vibe is day and night different. American comic writers are darkly bitter, sour, just sour-pussed people. You don't realize it until you read something that's not American. And I mean mainstream stuff. No, COMICSGATE is very good. And honestly, after reading manga, I realized that even the best American mainstream comics would have a very hard time competing with anything foreign and competing with COMICSGATE. Like I said, the SCWs on Twitter made fun of COMICSGATE. What are you making fun of? An increasing market? Spreading market share? Increased name recognition? Comics getting better? What are you making fun of? There's like a dozen top tier creators in COMICSGATE. Yeah, about a dozen. And then there's probably a few more dozen who are in the middle level who are working their way up. And then there's a lot of beginner comics who, like, they're getting that first book out. They're getting that second book out. And yeah, no, it's not perfect. But, if you're smart, you're selling it for $15 to $20 or bundling it with some other project. Anyway, go read COMICSGATE. Go read manga. COMICSGATE is just going to increase every year, and the mainstream stuff is going to decrease. And I saw that Ron Mars Zoop candle video. The joke with that was, isn't Gwyneth Paltrow's candle named Zoop? It smells like my vagina. That's what you say when you're a 50-year-old beautiful woman who's been beautiful her whole life and has had her ass kissed her whole effing life and never stepped foot into the real world to think, this smells like between my legs. Isn't that adorable? No, it's just dumb. You said something dumb. This candle is dumb. It costs you $2 to make, and you're selling it to other dumb women with their husband's money who are spending $80 for a candle. It's just wax and scent. It doesn't smell like your vagina. You're just an idiot. It's just stupid. Just go smoke weed and get laid every day. Enjoy your life. But, like, God, this is so... People just... Peak clown world. Peak clown world. You know that Asian guy in Empire of Dust? It's also tiresome. Well, it's more tiresome than I previously imagined. Anyway, go to Odysee, BitChute, Coffee, PayPal, Patreon if you want. Or support for free on Odysee. You can just subscribe, and that's support enough. Or leave a comment. Thanks for the recent donations digitally. That's I think we all know it's more than I deserve. All right, guys. See you next episode.